originally that Helen brought to the table. We read through it, we chatted about it, we read through it again, we chatted some more, and we investigated what was there on the page and nothing more. If the question came up that there was no answer we could find within the dialogue and stage directions with whatever Helen gave us there, then it was a question that we'd put to Helen. And through this process, while we were all nattering away, Helen was very good and kept quiet, which anybody who knows Helen is very difficult. She kept quiet for a number of reasons. The main reason is because if we can't find the answer there in the script, if it's not there on the page, and then we go to Helen and ask her what the answer is to our question, and we get the answer direct there, we're going to start trying to make that the fact. We're going to try and make that happen, even if the dialogue or the script isn't actually telling us that. So what Helen would do is go away and do a rewrite or tweak a line that actually gave the answer that Helen wanted us to get. Okay, so if a line was being told to be angry for whatever reason, we felt we're not really getting to anger from that point, then Helen would go and find a way of getting us angrier to deliver that line. And that's an example. Not that actually happened. But it's an example of how that would have been the case.
Yes.
So, I'm just going to open it up right now to ladies around the table, just to have a little chat and just explain a little bit more about what their idea of this process was and what we gained from it. And then we're going to have a chat with you lovely people. Hopefully you've got some questions for us. All right. So, does anybody want to start? Anybody happy to just start about what they found within it?
Sure. I felt it was a great way of working in that the actors actually had a chance to collaborate with the director and writer. So as a group, we were able to work through some marvellous words and just assist the writer to make it better. And I felt that was an honour and something that I hadn't been part of before. So it was really interesting to me to be part of the creative process. I mean, I've been in things where the writer's been barred from any rehearsals, any read-throughs, etc. So this was absolutely fantastic that here was the writer.
Yeah, the focus has always basically been on the script, and we've been aware that, you know, that's our job to assist the development of this script for you.
Yeah,
which is a different way of, well, it's a different thing for an actor to do, isn't it?
This for a performer, I think the skills that you are asked to put to this process are the skills that you would take into any rehearsal process where you investigate the script, you actually try and find out what's there, what evidence you've been given, and that is a very natural part of the actor's process. What is different here, though, is that you are refrained from going past that point, which is very difficult for the performers not to want to get up and start acting, performing, and we have got to a point, I think, where our next step would be getting up and moving. And that's a question that's come up for me as part of the process. Is there a point that actually should happen a little sooner? Should we be moving a lot earlier? It certainly wasn't the basis that I was taking this from with Wiley and Connor's process that they introduced me to. That they were saying we stay at the table until Connor's finished with his rewrites. But I do find with other processes that I've done that actually when you get up, that's when you find another little issue or another question that comes up. And so that's my next questioning really, and looking for this guide of saying this is, you know, best practice of working with the new writer is to say actually sometimes maybe you need to get away from the table. Maybe.
I think it might be that there's certain signals that it's time to get up, and because it was such a good first draft, I mean, we were all nearly in tears when we got to the end of the first reading, and so you haven't heard the best of it yet. And so, you know, so there were rewrites that were done as part of this process, which was brilliant. It was like Christmas, like what's going to happen now? There was extra scenes, and I was particularly pleased because it did actually really inform Amy's character as well, what Helen added in, because there were certain questions I had in the first few sessions, which then the rewrites answered to a large extent. And so we get those rewrites, but then we had several sessions when there were no more rewrites forthcoming, and we kind of could all feel, yeah, this is ready to get on its feet now. So maybe it's more about, it's not about how long do you spend on a particular bit, but it's actually what are the signals that you're now ready to go on to the next stage.
Yeah, and trying to...
Because we were all getting those signals.
I mean, it's been
it's
nice
ready now
though,
to get
it's
on
been
to the
very
next stage.
pressure-free, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. And it's been brilliant, because like...
To know that
Yeah.
this is what you're going to do. You're not going off book, because the point is to develop this script for Helen, and she needs to be happy with it 100%. So actually has been like conflicting, because we wanted to get up and learn it, and you know, because as an actor you want to be off book so that you can
and you
do
can't help
stuff
learning
that's
something
good.
just by doing it.
But at the same time, it's been nice that, you know, no pressure, just read the words.
Just read
Yeah.
what's in front of you.
I think as well, I think a lot of the work actors do just tend to be on their own, actually, or kind of just a little bit with the director, and it was so nice that we were each discussing each other's characters and each other's lines, not just focusing on our own. And I think that informed everything, because, you know, then that informed what it meant for somebody else as well, and we all got to input and kind of hear different perspectives, which I thought was, you know, it was just a very nice team feeling with it, which was, you know, I think it's just really conducive to good work.
I think what's really interesting is being able to discuss this with the writer there, but without the writer actually informing us any further past the page. Unless it's there as a note, like we discussed. There's now been an addition that Helen really wanted to tell the performers and tell whoever takes the script that some of this is true, or some of this is, you know, based on fact or reality, and that was really important for us to know. That was held back for a few sessions, and then the question was raised as to what's happened to this character, what's the truth of this. And when Helen revealed that to us, that information became very important to whoever was going to pick up that script and take that past this stage. So it always came back to what we are given as evidence as in the script. But what also happened was although we discussed and brought up questions from our investigations, at no point did we give Helen the suggestions as to how to fix a question, if it needed fixing, if it was meant to be a question we're always meant to ask. That is up to Helen, and so we never tried to influence heavily in that way. It was just a case of, I don't know this because it's not here.
They would stare at me. We think it might be A. Maybe it's B. You try to ignore 4 or 5 people sat round the table all looking at you.
Hopefully that they've got it right. So would you like to tell us how you found it as an approach?
Pain in the butt by the
Yes.
end. Completely. You go through a script and you think, how can I miss so many typos? I've been through it about 10 times, and there's another comma that shouldn't be there, and there's another spelling mistake. I did my head in. It's like every time I found something else. When I first started it was about an hour long, and I knew it wasn't quite there. I'm not quite sure what I thought there was, or how to get there. It wasn't quite there, so I just shelved it for ages. And for me, Paula is probably one of the best characters I've ever created. A lot of it is based on fact. Though no one just played God with it. And I didn't know, to be honest, I didn't think I'd get anything out. Didn't think I wouldn't get anything out of the process. But I got a lot more out of it than I expected, a heck of a lot more. And it's now a full-length play, and it's got 2 more characters, although I kept threatening, I want the dancing nuns and the singing dustbin men.
We have to
And a
find
few
the budget for
camels.
that, Helen.
Yeah, I know. Guess what? You got 2 more characters, yay! But it has, and it only came through the interrogation of the script from the actors. I mean, and I've had workshops done before, and I've had a play taken over so much by a director. I don't know why his name's not on it. Might as well have been. And I've been in readings where the actors want to be told everything every single thing, even though it's there, they want to be told everything. So this was really different, and it really is hard for me to keep my mouth shut, so you're going to be sorry in about 5 minutes. But no, it was good listening, because when they were interrogating it, I was sort of thinking in my head. I mean, I know with Una's part, they were interrogating something, and at the end of it, all I heard was, "What do you think?" And I hadn't heard a word, because I'd totally rewritten the whole scene as they were talking about it. So yeah, I mean, and I'd like my next one to be interrogated to the same extent before I sent it out.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, for me, it's taken away the whole thing of rehearsals. You know, I just think I wouldn't have to get every rehearsal, because I would trust. You know, if you were doing it and the actors were doing it, I'd completely trust that you got it. So that I'll go to the first one, the last one, with the dancing nuns.
Yes.
See that they
Obviously
were
get the
there.
choreography right on that.
Yeah, but it was, and the emphasis was, because it was on the page, it was up to me what I did about it. I didn't have to do any rewrites. I could have just gone through the whole few days, question and answers, taken it home on my own and worked on it. But I knew I had this time, so I thought now was the time to experiment with it and try it and just see if it, I just wanted to know, did it work? Did it work? Yeah, so that's why I burnt the midnight oil, knackered. Yeah, sorry, got the time. Yeah, burnt the midnight oil and managed to get it done to a state that I'm really happy with. Because I did think at the end of the first draft that it wasn't there and I haven't done Paula's character justice. But the final scene, if people are not in tears by the final scene, you've got no heart, no soul. So I feel like I've done it justice, yeah.
Fantastic. And that's what we're trying to do, and I think with the fact that the ownership always stays with the writer, we're not going to try and influence that. And like Helen said, she can take this away. She can go back to the first draft if that's what she wanted to do with it. Because we have removed the idea of a production date, and because this is basically about making sure that the writer's happy with the story they're telling, all that pressure is taken off us. We're not worried about how we're going to set this, how we're going to stage this, how we're going to fund this, how we're going. It's all about the work, the art that Helen's trying to put across. And every writer would be different. Every writer would respond in a different way, depending on where they are in their own careers, depending on how the piece works. But the way we'd approach it would be similar, as in we talk about it and the writer takes what they want from it. I do think it's quite a brave process as well for a writer to engage in, just because it is interrogating. Not in a bad way, not in a negative way. We're not sitting here saying it's terrible or this line doesn't work for the wrong reasons. We're very much just raising questions, but it can feel like an interrogation, I imagine, and I do think you need to have an open mind. So for that reason, I wouldn't say this is the perfect way of approaching it for everybody, and that's why I'm now going to ask you guys to ask any questions, because there's other ways of working, and it'd be really nice to know what ways you've encountered. I know there's a couple of writers out here and maybe people that are interested.